Hey, 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 God bless you guys. Welcome. This is your life coach, Andrea Jackson, and welcome to Joy Life Center Coaching and Consulting. We're going to be talking about relapse justifications today. So sorry you couldn't be here today, but guess what? I'm glad that you subscribed so that you can join us by other means. So I'm going to go ahead and start admitting people into our group, and we're looking forward to having a wonderful group. So glad you're here. God bless you guys. Hello, hello, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sister Lorena. Good morning. Let's see, Miss Suso, I think she's trying to get her audio together. See if I can help. And I cannot. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I am looking forward to having a great group today. As always, today we're going to be talking about relapse justifications. And, whenever we're on that good road, we've talked about having coping skills. We've talked about how all those things are needed in order to maintain a good, clear, solid life of recovery. So, one thing that we want to find out as we were talking about our brain, and even though our brain is made to work for us, sometimes it works against us when it's used to operating in these compulsive or unhealthy behaviors. So now we're trying to find out how to use how to reset that brain so that we can begin practicing more healthier behaviors. So and responses to life situations. So we're going to jump right on in and talk about how the brain creates relapse justifications to tell us it's okay for us to operate in those unhealthy ways. But today we're learning some techniques, and we're motivated, and we're moving intentionally into our future, which is a more healthier place for us. So now that we've learned all this stuff about our unhealthy behaviors, we're now going to maintain the work that we've done. We're going to maintain the steps. We're not going to let our brain override all of our work as we're moving towards healthier decision making and action. So before we get into that, we want to go ahead and check in with everyone and see where you're at, how you're feeling today. I'm going to start with Sister Lorena. Good morning, Sister Lorena. Go ahead and check in today.
Good morning. I am doing much better. I feel better physically. I feel better emotionally.
Wow.
I've been using my tools and listening to my body, right? Listening. If I'm tired, I'm tired. If I'm hungry, I'm hungry. And if I need some time for me, I have to take it.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome. I love that. So glad to hear you're recovering not only in your health, but in your heart, because I know that you went through a lot with that loss. So God bless you. I'm so glad that you're progressing into healthier spaces. And I love how she said, even though the hurt was there, even though the health issues were there, even though things were not perfect, she still used her tools and she stayed in that healthy state. So awesome, awesome. I applaud you, woman of God. God bless you. Let's see, Miss Susu, good morning. Good morning. Go ahead and check in.
Good morning, Miss Jacksons, and to all that is on. I feel real good today.
Awesome.
And I use, as Lorena said, use the techniques.
Yes.
I decided just to take me some me time to see what it feel like. Just to be
What?
like it almost. I started last night, just sitting down and trying not to let my mind go, well, this need to be done, I just relaxed right there. And then I had me a good night's sleep. And I am energetic this morning. I feel good. Got my little exercise in. I feel good.
Excellent. Wow. I love this. I love this. You guys are amazing. I love that. You know, life don't always come in straight lines and in ease as we like, but when it doesn't, we use our tools and we stay in accordance to our straight lines that we have set for ourselves and in some sort of ease, listening to our bodies. I love that, guys. Awesome. I applaud you guys. Listening to your body, see what your needs are. See what your needs are so I can meet my needs, because I can only meet my needs. I can only meet my goals if I meet my right now needs. So that's awesome. Today we're going to be talking about relapse justifications, and this is a very deadly system that happens in the brain. This is a cycle of events. Remember, your brain does not hold intelligence. Your mind holds your intelligence. Your brain is an operational functioning part of your body, just like your liver, your spleen, your kidney, you know, those things. It is there to do its part, its function. So guess what? The brain that has no intellect, it operates according to how it is groomed to operate. It operates according to its systems. So what happens is while we've created some systems, we want to be able to break the impact that it's had on our brain. And sometimes while we're going through that process, we find that our brain continues in the old way, but our intellect is saying not so. Our intellect is saying no. We're breaking that old system. We're breaking that old cycle. We're breaking that so that we can move forward in a healthier lifestyle. So awesome. I think Sister Lupe just joined us. Go ahead and check in, Sister Lupe.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, I'm doing great. I did another trip to the gym, so I'm proud that I'm 2 days in a row. I
Yes.
didn't want to go, but I pushed myself, and I'm very sore from yesterday, so I took it a little slow today. But as long as I did some type of moving around, so just working on consistency.
Excellent.
God bless you all.
God bless you. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm so glad that you joined in, and I'm so grateful that you're maintaining your consistency, not according to how you feel, but according to what your needs are. There are times when we kind of, go according to what we feel, because remember, we have to learn to listen to our body, listen to our emotions, listen to what we're feeling, give attention to it so that we be able to process these feelings, these emotions, even make healthy decisions. Like she said, I didn't feel like going, but then understanding that's natural. It's natural because this is something new for me. So I'm going to keep going anyway. So she listened to her body. I don't feel like going. But then she decided this is a situation where I need to push myself, because I'm pushing myself into healthier behavior. So that's wonderful. We're resetting the clock, guys. We are resetting our brain. We are resetting those old behaviors. We're breaking the cycles and we're opening up to a new. So this is why it's very important on today that we talk about relapse justifications. We've talked about thought stopping techniques. We've talked about grounding techniques. We identified that we need to listen to our bodies, listen to our emotions, listen to what we're saying to us, what our bodies are saying to us. We've talked about setting healthy boundaries and identifying triggers when they come to hit us and not even know that we're being triggered, but they're triggering brain association, where we've had memory and now here's the stimuli that's triggering us into past behaviors and we don't even know why we're doing it, but there's a whole system at work going on with brain association. So we're identifying when we see that, what to do with that, how to break that cycle. Well, it's good to break it at the thought. Once I identify what a trigger is, what my brain associates to, One, I have to learn how to stay away from triggers if possible. Some people, places, things, times of days that I'm not built for. I cannot handle that. I own my limitations. This is my awareness. I own my limitations. I don't just identify it, but I own it. I accept it. This is my limitation. Superman had to accept the fact that kryptonite was a deadly opposer to him. It was an enemy that would destroy him. So I have to accept the fact that this person, place, or thing, time of day is going to trigger me into old behaviors, possibly. So therefore, I'm going to prevent that from happening by staying away from that trigger or even dealing with that trigger a little differently. Maybe it's a time of day, a time of season, maybe sometimes when a loved one's death date come around or their birthday come around or a memory that we've had that's very hurtful and harmful. So we try to identify what can I do in order to deal with that trigger. Maybe instead of being sorrowful in that day, I'm going to celebrate that day, but I'm definitely going to give some support. I'm going to put myself in safety by surrounding myself with support. So all these things we've been doing to work on ourselves. So now here it is. There's this system that goes on in my head called a relapse justification. And I am refusing to let that take me back from all the work that I've done to build myself, identifying my boundaries and using coping skills and all my tools. I'm not going to let this take me backwards. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read to you what a relapse justification is. Relapse justification is a process that happens in people's minds. If a decision has been made to stop using, stop drinking, stop enabling, I'm going to stop responding to my anger, I'm going to stop sexing, I'm going to stop unprotected sex, I'm going to stop allowing my feelings to take me into depression, whatever the behaviors are. Once you've made a decision to stop, what happens is when we start withdrawing from those behaviors, your brain recognizes it. Isn't that something? It recognizes it and it gives me an excuse to go ahead and do it. This is something we've been doing for a long time here. So your brain is looking for an excuse to go ahead and operate in that way. So now this is called a relapse justification. It's justifying me to go back to old behaviors. Oh, well, it's never been like this. Justifying me to go back to drinking. Well, you saw that plane crash. Whoa, that's overwhelming. Anybody would take a drink from that. Or wow, your baby just graduated school. Hey, go ahead and enjoy yourself. You have enough recovery under your belt. You can do it, and we start practicing old behaviors. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna read off some options, some statements, and I want us to talk about them. I want us to talk about them because what happens is while we're in recovery, we have strength in our old practices. When we're new to recovery, the old practices are still strong. I'm still trying to be mindful not to do the same thing again. I'm still trying to be aware not to do the same thing again. But if I'm not mindful, if I'm not aware, if I'm not very intentional in my decision makings, it's easy to slide right on back. And what is called clinically is relapse. It doesn't have to do with anything like some people say, oh, well, I don't use drugs or drink, so it's not a relapse. Any behavior that we are stopping, that we are recovering from, whenever we find ourselves doing them again, that's called a relapse. Even in sickness, if I'm sick and I was doing fine, and now my health is beginning to relapse into the old sickness. My cancer was in remission, now is relapsing and is coming out of remission. So that's what that means. So I don't want us to just associate it to a category, but let's look at it for what it's worth. But let's take a look at this, because what relapse justifications do, it try to push us close enough so that we can have an accident and relapse. That's a lot of stuff going on that's working against us, huh? But guess what? We can do this. We can do it. You've come so far. You've made so much progress. Guess what? There's more to be made. We're going to perfect this thing. And even if we don't perfect it, we're going to progress right on through it. So here's my first one. So I'm going to read some questions to help you maybe identify some justifications. Let's see how we would respond to them. Okay, so we're going to start with the category of accidents or other people's influence. So does your compulsive behavior ever try to convince you that you have no choice in the matter, that you were caught off guard and you have to say or do what your old behaviors? So let's say it's drinking. Does your addictive brain try to convince you that you have no choice in an unexpected situation which caught you off guard? Have you ever said one of the following statements? Well, it was offered to me, so what could I do? Or, well, an old friend called and we decided to get together. Or I was cleaning my house and I found something that I forgot about and it triggered me. So, hey, that wasn't my fault. Or, hey, I had friends that come over for dinner last night, and they start acting in ways that just caused me to respond to my old ways, but I couldn't help that. Or, I was at a bar, and a fight broke out and it just angered me. So I jumped right in. So when we look at accidents or other people's influences to get back into those old behaviors, sometimes we feel the response. How can we respond when these accidents or other people's influence come and bring us back to the feelings of our old behaviors, to the temptations of operating in our old behaviors? What can we do? Go ahead, unmute your phone and share.
God bless you. This is Sister Lorena.
Hey, Sister Lorena.
And as you were mentioning a lot of these questions and scenarios, I can remember that I started hanging out with people that were using. Mm-hmm. But before that I actually relapsed, I noticed my behaviors changing. Where I didn't want to use my tools, or oh, it's okay, it's just this one time. And for me, I believe that the tools that I have today are, I had to change people, places, and things, and be very well aware of why am I, or even if I hang around with somebody or accept, somebody from the past to come along, why? I have to ask myself, why would I allow this if I know where it can take me? So being aware of the here and now, all the steps that I took, all the tools that I have used to come to this point, so I won't have to relapse. Because for me, it's an excuse.
Okay.
If I see myself going back to somebody that I know that is still active,
yeah,
right? Why would I accept it? Hey, you know what? I love you. I'm praying for you, and we can go for coffee, but that's about it.
That's it.
But I'm just gonna stand on the awareness of the here and now, and why would I allow that?
Yes, I love that, Lorena. Lorena speaks from a place of being proactive. We've had a lot of experience with our unhealthy behaviors, and she's done a lot of work making sure that she, one day at a time, walk this thing out, removing unhealthy people from her life, removing unhealthy things, triggers. So to deal with the accident, she's going to proactively change those people, places, and things that would cause an accident. So I love that. Thank you so much. Like she said, she looked at it as an excuse. Why am I opening myself up to this possibility? Why am I hanging with these friends again? Why am I doing these things when I know this isn't something we read in the history book? It's not something your mama told you. It's not something your big sister or your big brother told you about. You know that this is kryptonite to my life. So, wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Lorena. Anybody else? How do we respond to these accidents or other people's influence that causes us, or that can trigger us back into the old behavior, causing our brain to thus give a relapse justification to justify, oh, well, you ain't seen them in a long time. You can go have a good time. Whoa, he made you mad. It's okay to go and cuss him out. He shouldn't have jumped in front of you like that. Relapse justifications. What justification do you deal with right now that deals in the area of other people's influence or even accidents? Go ahead, unmute your phone and share.
Good morning, Sister Lupe. For me, I will say putting myself in places, being surrounded by people, places, and things where I noticed a change in my behavior. Not so much, it starts with my behavior before it becomes, a relapse as far as using. I relapse in my behavior when I'm around, for instance, my old job, that working in a bar, it was hard to stay sober because there was always alcohol there, and there was always weed there, and then I was always angry. It was so much pressure, and um even though after I left that position, I found myself dealing with the residue of those things, always rushing, and I gotta do this, gotta do that, because my job was high pressure.
Okay.
And even finding myself drinking without even wanting to drink, because I had started a pattern, and lashing out, and demanding, basically bringing the management to home. The way I ran the kitchen over there, I brought it home.
Okay.
So I found that now I know that when I see that this is starting to change me, or starting to affect my, just the way I start noticing a change in me and my character, and going back to those old ways where Lupe used to cuss and talk smack, and always respond, just be always on guard. I work so hard to change that, and then when I'm surrounded by those familiar things, I tend to go back. I take a step back, and I I pay attention to what's going on within me. And if I have to leave, then I will do so for my own good.
Yeah. Awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, Sister Lupe. I love that. I love that. And I love how she talked about, and Sister Lorena did too, when we begin to identify my behavior change before even an actual relapse. Whatever you're relapsing, whatever it is that you're changing, whatever it is, we begin to see some behaviors that begin to rise up before we even enter into the full-fledged actual relapse. And this is why, guys, it's very important that we change our people, places, and things, because we want to stay sober-minded. Like the Bible tells us to stay sober-minded, stay vigilant. One thing about being sober-minded is not always the influence of alcohol and drugs that it's under. Sometimes the being sober-minded is being mindful of being under the influence of anger, being under the influence of lust, being under the influence of enabling, being under the influence of the power of depression. Any of those things, we want to be sober-minded. I want my mind to be free to allow the Holy Spirit to lead and guide me. But when we're weighted down with these cycles and these routines and these patterns and thoughts and people that's feeding the power of that old lifestyle, we have to step into some new support, some new people. And we don't have to kick these people to the curb. Maybe you do. Don't let me speak for you. But some people we may have to reposition in our life because they have influence and they have negative influence. The influence is negative because of where I'm trying to go today. The influence was on the one at one point, but now that's not a road that I'm trying to take. So I have to reposition you in my life so that you don't have that much authority over my decisions, that much influence over my next steps. So that's awesome. Thank you so much, Sister Lupe. Anyone else? Relapse justifications.
Sister Bianca.
Go right ahead.
As I was listening to you talking, my mind kind of took a flight. That's some stuff that the older people would say. But I remember back in the days when, and I'm gonna bring it up to now, but I'm gonna use the part as drinking as far as back in the days. I remember there was a favorite place that I loved to go to. It was El Torito's. Love Mexican food, and they had some good food at El Torito's. But what kept drawing my attention there was the margaritas.
Okay.
The margaritas was the thing that really kept me coming back for more. And so that would be a place that, me and some of my friends, we would go, and what you would have, what would you like to drink? Before we ask for water, that would be the first thing that we would ask for. And so today, I've taken El Torito's completely off of my list.
Right.
I haven't been to El Torito's. I think I went maybe 7-8 years ago. I went there. I didn't have any triggers or anything like that. But again, I was around a lot of people too. You know what I'm saying? So I don't go to El Torito's on today. Repositioning people.
Yeah.
That was something that I had to learn to do, because especially family.
Okay.
Especially family. You know, it's hard to kind of, pull yourself from away from family. You know, family is what we got. Family is all we got. We got to stick together and all those good things.
Right.
But when I found out that my family was unhealthy for where I was trying to go, I didn't kick them to the curb, but I had to reposition them into another area. We've been taught the 3 Ps: the personal, private, and public. So where some of my family members was in my personal and private, I had to reduce them down to my public life.
Okay.
Love them dearly.
Yes.
Wouldn't be nothing that I wouldn't do for them if I can.
Right.
But cannot be in my personal circle because of the unhealthiness, the negativity, the drinking, the smoking, or whatever the situation may be. So I had to position them and reposition them. It was kind of a hurtful thing. Again, especially when you always been called that you think you good, you too good for us, and Miss Goody Two Shoes and Miss Holy Roller and all that kind of stuff that you be hearing.
Right.
So you try to, you know what, you just don't want to hear all of that. But for peace sake, for my own soul salvation, and that I may stay on the right road, I had to reposition the people in my life. They might not even know that they reposition.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm going around and saying, "Oh, you're not in my personal space no more. I put you in public."
Right.
So they don't even know that they've been repositioned per se, but they have been. So that's what I would like to say.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. I love that sharing. And if we can kind of illuminate the El Torito, she identified a trigger, and she decided, even though I love Mexican food, I'm going to find another place that I love so well, because this one have brain associations where your brain can begin to receive all the stimuli, all the triggers, and now move you closer into a relapsing situation. You know, there's some relationships, you know, there's some, again, people, places, and things. But if we put ourselves in position to be constantly triggered to these unhealthy behaviors, what happens is you overwhelm your brain and it begins to have relapse justifications to justify a relapse. It's okay to have a drink. Well, you haven't been here in a while. You've been gone from here for 10 years. She said about 7 years ago, she went back and she didn't experience any triggers. Why? Because as we recover, remember, our recovery self begins to strengthen. So where we are is not going to always be where we shall be. If we continue working on ourselves, using the steps, using the tools, doing what you learn to make your path different, and using it daily, consistently, trusting in the process, trusting God in the process. So that's amazing. Thank you so much. I love how you said, I went there and I didn't experience the triggers, as to where that was her trigger spot. That was the spot where she went and she drank margaritas. So in her recovery, that was the spot that she had to let go, because your relapse justification, your brain will invent excuses. Excuses. Go and have you one. Just one won't hurt. That's a lie from the pit. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Catastrophic events. We're talking about relapse justifications. What thoughts, what justification does your brain devise in order to get you, or your mind devise? What thoughts does your mind tell you? Oh, you can go ahead and do that. Oh, if anybody went through that, they would understand why you would drink. They'd understand why you cuss everybody out. They'd understand why you go and do those unhealthy behaviors. Let's read. Is there one unlikely major event that the only reason that we call the only reason I would go back to those compulsive behaviors? What might that be for you? And we're going to talk about that. So right now, let's talk about catastrophic events. What is that catastrophic event in your life that your brain would say, this one here, this is the reason why you need to go back to being the old you, doing the old you things. Why are you working so hard? Here we go. My spouse left me. There's no reason to maintain in this order. Or I just got injured. It's ruined all my plans. I might as well I might as well not continue in my recovery. I might as well go and have unprotected sex. I might as well just be depressed. I might as well, those things. Or I just lost my job. Why not? What is a catastrophic event for you that would cause you to even consider, justify? What is it that tells your mind, if this happens, you definitely have a justification to go back to your old behaviors? Go ahead, unmute your phone and share what that might be for you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, Miss Kashara.
Hey, how are you? Hello, everyone. Forgive my tardiness today. Wow, just listening to that. I look at some of the things in my life that appears to be normal. However, found some demise in the situations. And if I see something good in the situation that may pop up, I try to give it another chance, but end up happening exactly the way that it happened. Just trying to be, I guess, lenient. And, we always say, well, if God forgive us, we can forgive others. Yes. And doing that, we put our guards down a little, and we do forgive. Mm-hmm. But what would it, and I'm talking about people now, that have been toxic in my life. and could be your own kind, your own, as close to you as your own. And I find myself reverting back saying, okay, I'm telling you, this is it. If they don't act right this time, I'm gonna just completely cut them off. But every time I see the good or see something in the situation that look like it's gonna line up,
Yeah.
I go back.
Yeah.
I go back to it, only to find out that those same behaviors, that same thing is still there.
Yeah.
And I keep asking myself, why do you keep going back? Why do you keep, and I just have this thing within me that everybody deserves a chance. But when, at what point do we say enough is enough? It's not, you see, it is, yes, God can change anybody, but
Right.
the thing to that is, if they want to be changed,
Okay.
they have to make the decision to change.
Yes.
Even when it's toxic to you. Right. Until they make the change, the enemy will use anything he can, because the affliction is upon you, it's upon me. And every time I say, okay, it shows up to be, okay, I'm watching, and throughout that time, that period, it still looks like, okay, it's gonna be okay. Right. But at some point, I'm like to myself, wow, I told you so. And I don't want to be that way and say I told you so, but it's right before us. And that's in any situation, be it family or whatever the negative is. If you keep going back in that spot, in that position, in that place, right, you're only gonna find yourself with the mind to do different, or the mind to revert back, or just continuing to give chances after chances. And what really has the change been? Nothing.
Yes. Wow, absolutely. That has been a situation that has been ongoing. We find, where do we end the cycle? And I want to open the floor to that, because we find that we give ourselves permission, those relapse justifications, to let toxic people back in our life. And we live by a doctrine that states that we're to forgive. And then with that forgiveness, sometimes it looked like it may be a little hope there. But at what point, in your experiences, guys, at what point that we identify that we do something different? Or what do you do? How do you respond to that? Anybody, go unmute your phone and share.
Can you repeat? I'm sorry, my internet is very unstable. So I didn't catch what you said.
Okay, Ms. Kashara was sharing a scenario, whereas toxic people, they appear well long enough to affect your heart and try to, welcome and get welcomed back into a position or a place in our life that ultimately triggers our unhealthy behaviors. So how do we deal with that? How do we deal with that? We want to walk according to the doctrine and forgive. And we want to be able to treat every person kind and with love, and those things that we're taught through the teachings of the Lord Jesus Christ. When we have these people in our lives that's been in our personal lives that have proven to be toxic, how do we handle that? When it looked like they're getting better, they're doing a little better, but then once you let them in again, you know what they do. They start ramaging and wrecking up, and you start seeing the dysfunction again. What do you do? How do you handle that? Anyone, what was your experience and how did you handle it?
God bless you. This is Sister Lorena. And I have those situations. I have learned that forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation, that we have the choice to reconcile with people. Mm-hmm. No love lost, just and I heard Bianca say it, that the personal and the public and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And they're no longer in my personal space. They're no longer in the inner circle. They have to be in the outer circle, because I have to stay aware once again
Yeah.
of, once I start seeing red flags again, like, okay, maybe they have advanced to some point, but not enough to where I'm at.
Okay.
And no love lost, but it has to be at a distance.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for that, Sister Lorena. Thank you. Anyone else want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, this is Susu. Yeah, I can identify with what each speaker was saying. And mine, like you're saying, people that you're close to, that you enable. And it wasn't Bianca, but the other caller was saying, you look and then you see that they're doing much better. You get your high hopes up.
Yeah.
But next thing you know, they come crashing down. So I'm learning, to try to distance myself, say less. I speak to them when they're out of the situation, I speak to them, but like I tell them, we just gonna have to distance. I love you, but I just have to distance myself sometimes. And then too, I'm not condemning them, but I'm, trying to give advice. So I just have to watch my words or my tone when I speak to them. That better me. I lead the conversation. Hey, okay, that's just like pulling the shade. So you do you, but not to get me harmed or stirred up or frustrated. I have to leave it, let it be. It's going to be what it's going to be. And as I say, he's still going to love them though, but I try to put a little distance there sometimes where it won't be as much pressure on me. Yeah, the situation is what it is. We're to love them, but, like I say, I've learned from these classes, set boundaries, that you don't have to address everything, everybody, everything, at the same time. So just to learn to set the boundaries to free me, free my state of mind. That's what I do. Trying to do.
Awesome. Excellent. Great. Thank you, Miss Susu.
Miss Jackson?
Yes.
I wanted to say this too, if you don't mind. So, and I know we're all kind of have our own issues. And even today, I'm in a very inopportune situation where I got a call this morning that I need to come and, I need to come to you. But even as the question arose in my heart, I said, well, if you want, to meet the other parties at the park or somewhere, you can do that. Right. But I can't. I can't do that. And what I've realized is, even to the fact they were so angry, they hung up in my face. And that's okay. That's okay. But I stood my ground.
Yes.
I stood my ground.
Yes.
Because if I keep allowing you to allow the enemy to try to demise me, and then you walk away scot-free, then, and you leave me in a situation, you leave me in a situation with hurt, and I'm dismantled and all over the place, frustrated and mad and angry, and guess what? Hurt, and now you're going on, and that situation is stuck on me, and I have to pray it off and have others help me pray it off. But today I'm not in that position.
Oh, wow.
Today I stood my ground. I love you with everything in me, but I can't take that trip. I cannot be at the park. I cannot allow you to come here.
Yes.
But now, if you're willing to do that, we can do that. And if not, then so be it. And I still love you. And that's where I am today. And I feel proud of me today, because there was a time I couldn't do that. I could not say no. I would put my guards on and say, okay, but you better not come acting any kind of way. And before that day was over, that
They'd act up.
situation had blew up. So I'm grateful for God just for giving me the mind to stand in that situation. Thank you all so much.
Excellent. Wow. I salute you, Miss Kashara. Excellent. I'm proud of you as well. You know, it's so many different things that we realize that we do. We have to do that repositioning of some people in our life because they have influence. They can push us closer to a relapse. I'm trying to live in peace today. You know, sometimes we're trying to help a person or we're just used to the relationship that we've had. But what happens is many times we find ourselves, you know, and again, like I said, even taking the teachings of the Lord Jesus Christ, when he does say forgive 70 times 70, it's just like Sister Lorena said, but it doesn't necessarily have to come with reconciliation or even total reconciliation. You know, there was a time when I was coming up in the faith that I was at this church and the first lady said, you know, she said, true forgiveness, the sign or the proof of true forgiveness is when you can bring that person right back into the place where they were in your life before the offense even began. And I was blown by that. I was like, wow, that's amazing. That takes strength. That takes true forgiveness. You know, but as I grew in life, I began to identify that everyone doesn't deserve that place. Everyone doesn't deserve your holies of holies. Even in the Old Testament, the word of God says they had to start at the court, you know, and after the purifying and everything, then they entered into the second part of the tent. And not just anyone was welcome to the holies of holies. You had to be of a certain standard. You had to be of a certain heart. You had to be of a certain position to go and serve in the holies of holies. So reverence your heart and your inner self and the very vulnerable parts of yourself as the holies of holies for you. And let's not be so quick to invite people there. God tells us and he teaches us in the Old Testament to plant seeds. Sometimes we plant, we water, and we waiting to see the increase. But God tells us to plant seed. Apollos or someone is going to water that seed because ultimately God's going to give the increase. So sometimes we have a because of our beliefs, we hold on to people longer than we should, sometimes because of our emotions, sometimes because it's just learned behavior. It's just a practice. You've been around, so you're supposed to be around. But I'm so glad to hear you guys are using your tools because everyone doesn't need to be around because they can move us back into unhealthy behaviors. Anyone else before we move on?
Yes. I'm gonna talk about an incident before I met my salvation in 2004. One of my triggers in my life as a person that had been fighting to get clean and stay clean since '88, but with numerous relapses and numerous different types of bad behaviors. This is prior to January 1st, 2004. One of the simmering areas for me, I had a simmering pot of family discord and family non-support.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been on the stove of my life. Always. For a long time, shall we say. Non-supportive and always giving me flack. And so I was looking for my safe space in my romantic relationship, supposedly. Supposedly looking for that. Now, with that being said, this last go round that I was in before my deliverance, last time I got clean, was this. I had this man in my life. What I did not understand, and it was a sneak attack. This man was an alcoholic. He was just at his stages where he was like mid on his way to dependence. Do you understand?
Okay.
On his way to dependence.
Mm-hmm.
But that spirit was there. And when we met, I was clean at that time.
Okay.
And I had just came out of a tumultuous, intimate relationship that just like, let me get out of here. I got out, and then I met this little dude, and we're dealing with each other. It's crazy, and he did something and said something, and it triggered me into a relapse.
Mm.
That was like one of them last straws, the straw that broke this camel's back this time.
Right.
And then I went through it, losing employment, losing place to stay, back to Skid Row, back to homelessness, back to all those places. And when I came out of it, I was very, very sick for a long time. I believe I had pneumonia. I do believe I had pneumonia or untreated pneumonia. Wow. And major, major depression. And then I let them back in my life, and I kind of stood up a little bit. And it wasn't good for me. One of the things that was told to me in the spiritual realm later on, after or the night of my getting set free from addiction, was this, that he was a tool that was used against me.
Wow.
Soul ties ain't no joke. I don't play with them.
Yeah.
I do not play with, if things, the type of person I am now, if things is kind of iffy, I will cut you loose.
Okay.
I don't care who you are, male, female, cousin, mama, and them. I will cut you loose. I will cut. I'm not saying that we don't talk or I'm not around you, but emotionally and mentally, I have cut you loose.
Okay.
I have even gotten down on my knees and told God to remove you from my spirit.
Wow.
Because I'm not playing with you taking me out, being an instrument to take me out. I'm not playing with that.
Yes.
Because some folk is just going to do what they do. I have a saying that some folks, the things, their offenses that they do, some people are only going to hurt themselves. I mean, they're hurting themselves is going to hurt others that love them. Yes. Or hurt situations of people that should be able to depend on them. They cannot. So that hurts those people. And some people, their offenses is all out about hurting others. Wow. Their offenses are going to harm other people on deliberate, like I'm about to tear you up.
Right.
And that how it make me feel more powerful because I'm tearing you up, because I'm hurting you, I'm harming you. Let me tell you, you can forgive folk, but sometimes women in particular, we got it bad with the soul ties and the emotional ties. And a lot of the times, a lot of our stuff is trauma based.
Yeah.
It's got something to do with trauma. And I can't explain it, but it's got something to do with trauma and holding on to stuff that, you know, like I'm sitting up here. I'm going to tell you one day, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to cut it loose. One day, this is some years ago, and I've never forgotten it, even though I did not go to the workshop. I had went to a Narcotics Anonymous convention, and I was walking down the hallway at the hotel. They had different rooms for different meetings, and I saw one big board sitting on its little easel, sitting on the stand. It said, the name of it was called "Stay in the Relationship Past the Expiration Date."
Wow.
And I looked at that, and I never did go to a workshop, but I never forgot that sign. I've used that in my repertoire. When I go out to speak, I say, imagine this. You got this bad, rotten, poison, toxic, curdled milk in your refrigerator. You got a gallon of it. Matter of fact, you got a couple of gallons of it.
Oh my.
You're not going to throw it out because of sentimental reasons, or I spent my last wick on it, you know?
Jeez.
And I'm going to use this milk. So you go get your little corn checks and your Lucky Charms or your cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, put it in a bowl, and you go get that curdled milk, and you sit down and pour it over your cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and you sit there eating it, munching it, talking about it's all right, it's not that bad.
My.
Right? It's not that bad. And you know you're going to be sick as a dog, but you've done it before. You did it yesterday, and you're doing it today, and you're going to do it again tomorrow until that milk is finished. And then there's somebody who go sneak a whole nother gallon of poisonous, toxic curdled milk in your fridge, and you continue to eat off that milk.
Ooh.
Milk been expired, and you eating and poisoning your life, poisoning your soul, poisoning your circumstance because you insist it's not that bad.
My.
And it's even harder when you're dealing with children
Yeah.
because adult children tell you, like my grandmother, I'm gonna be honest with you, that they did to me. My grandmother told them didn't do to me, but I was out there, and my grandfather, he would let me come to the house to rest a few days.
Mm-hmm.
Said you can't stay long because Big Daddy ain't gonna have you camped out here. Rest, And that was I might come out there for 4 or 5 days maybe, but I had to go
Mm-hmm.
because I was not allowed to come and bring my disease and not do nothing about myself.
Right.
Um, with children, it's difficult. My thing is with the kids, especially kids with issues, you look up every resource, like friends outside, or not friends outside, a community of friends,
Okay.
housing for people who have mental illness,
Mm-hmm.
and but they have to get a case manager through community of friends, and they have to be on their meds and doing what they're supposed to do. They have to be cooperative with the program.
Right.
They have to be cooperative with the program, So, and it's difficult. The substance abuse, kid that's out there, a stick up kid or whatever, they out there doing whatever. All right, baby, you're gonna have to walk out the consequences of what you're doing.
Yes.
I have one kid but I got to pray for their life. Like, Lord, open up their mind, open up their life. They're not in a healthy situation. And I made a decision not to contribute another dime to their dysfunction.
Wow.
I made a decision and said, you'll figure it out
Mm-hmm.
because I realize the way they are, the soul ties that's on them, that you're going to have to bash your head up against every concrete wall. I'm looking at a concrete wall right now.
Yeah.
You're going to have to bash your head up against every concrete brick, against every cobblestone in your situation in order for you to make that decision. I want to get out of here. I want to be free. One of my theme songs, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to shut up. Ohio players, shoo, shoo, shoo. I want to be free,
Yeah.
child. Have to listen to them lies no more. Shoo, shoo, shoo. I'm going to be free. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna have to find that song and play it. I remember that. I want to be free. And we want to be free of these unhealthy behaviors. And many times we find that the anchor of these unhealthy behaviors as some of the people that's in our lives, some of the environments that we place ourselves in, those people, places, those things, those time of days, those associations. And I love that, staying in unhealthy relationships too long. And even though she didn't make the workshop, what an amazing example she gave us with the curdled milk. Keeping around something toxic because, hey, I paid for it. I have a family member. It doesn't matter. I'm going to make sure I consume all of this because I paid my money for it. Like we used to tell our children, and we may still do, you're going to eat every piece of meat or all the food off the plate. I want you to clear your plate because of our mindset. So we have children now that are obese and diabetic, and they're dealing with challenges because we're maybe overstuffing them because we put our value on our investment, whether it's healthy or unhealthy. We put the value on the investment rather than on what's actually going on. So we're consuming all of this sour, curdled, spoiled milk. just because it's mine. Now somebody can put some in there. Oh, I gotta ride that out too. What an amazing example. Thank you for sharing that. These influences. Anyone else before we move into the next one, the next question? All right, let's go to the next. Specific purposes. Sometimes it's a specific reason that will cause us to relapse in those unhealthy behaviors. You know, one of the relapse justifications where that lower brain, remember we talked about the upper brain and the lower brain. Well, the upper brain is the more, the one that holds the more intellect, you know, but the lower brain, it holds that drive, that go, go, go. And the brains, the upper brain, your higher learning and your lower brain are supposed to work together like a marriage, like a covenant, like an agreement, like a relationship. It's supposed to work together. But what happens is something destroys it. And those some things that sometimes our use, our drinking, our old compulsive behaviors is stopping it, our trauma, of the past and how we relate to and all those things. So now the upper brain and the lower brain, my intellect is supposed to be saying, you know what, this is a good idea to do. So now I'm gonna connect with my lower brain that's gonna give me the drive to go and do it now. But what happens is when we're in routine mode with that addictive brain, that compulsive behavior has us in drive, then what happens is that the upper brain has retracted and all we're doing is just driving. We're just doing, we're just continuing in that routine behavior. We're on a routine cycle. We're in the cycle of the systematic that we have implemented in our lives. And we're coming to break that today. And we're going to let our mind join in the collaboration so that we can have equal standing of intellect and motivation. It's like knowledge without zeal. We got to have the knowledge along with the zeal that motivates us to move into the knowledge. Specific purposes. Let's say that your compulsive brain, it begins to suggest to you that that your behaviors, those unhealthy behaviors, is the only way you're going to accomplish something. You know, lots of times when you're gaining weight, you know, sometimes a lot of my clients have relapsed on stimulants because they're gaining weight. It's like, I'm not doing it for recreational use, Miss Jackson. You know, I'm just trying to get some of this weight off. Well, that opens the door because it's going to affect you the same. Or what about, wow, you know, I'm just drained, you know, I just need to just sit here and not do nothing. Or maybe I should go out and, you know, have unprotected sex because I need to feel alive again. I need to, you know, have a beer. I need to pick me up. I need somebody to tell me I'm beautiful. You know, I need someone to, you know, give me some attention. Or, you know what? If I'm going to be more social, then I need to hook up with certain people. And sometimes we don't let our people, places, and things go because we feel that we need them. We need them for something. I need them for motivation. I need them to be able to go out and find friends. I need them. And that whole cycle continues. Our brain, that relapse justification is telling you, oh no, you're not doing it for that purpose. You know, it's not going to harm you. This ain't going, this is just going to give you the notoriety or to give you the attention that you need. And once you get that attention, you'll be good. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You know, or, you know, just thinking, well, you know what, I can enjoy sex without being promiscuous, or I can enjoy, well, for one, sex is a beautiful thing that God created between married people. And so when we're trying to get these things under wraps, this type of relapse justification, we have to counteract. So what are some of the things that we can do when we're dealing with these specific purposes, where we feel that our compulsive behaviors, no matter what they are, is just the very thing I need to satisfy this? What is that this that comes to mind to justify you relapsing in that behavior? Go ahead, unmute your phone and share.
God bless you. This is Sister Lorena. I don't think I have any relapse behaviors at this moment.
Okay.
And I say this moment because they do come.
Mm-hmm.
They don't always come though. And one of the behaviors that I usually tend to justify is being lonely and needing the company of a male partner. Of course, it crosses my mind. However, I also hold on to truth, and not my truth, God's truth.
Okay.
Where you know, this is His temple. I'm supposed to keep it sanctified and holy and separated unto Him. And I think that for me, the faith-based connection is just as important. It goes hand in hand with my recovery because that's the foundation of it.
Yes. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, because absolutely we can learn all the modifications of behavior, but what's going to fill the temple? You know, that's why we talk about what do you identify? Who do you identify? What is, or how do you define your spirituality? Because that's what dwells in the temple. So I love that. Thank you so much, Lorena. Anyone else? Anyone else? What specific thing does your brain issue as a relapse justification to okay you going back to your unhealthy behaviors? Let's identify them. We don't want to be surprised when they pop up.
Oh yeah. Okay, we got one.
Okay.
In the past, I remember one particular relapse after coming out of treatment, and I relapsed in less than a year. And somebody who was concerned about me, they asked me, and I came up with something real crazy to tell them. But the truth is I could not handle the emotion. I call it not being able to handle the emotional stimuli.
Okay.
Not being able to no longer contain or process or handle the emotional stimuli. And so I acknowledge that there's a part like substance abuse, drinking, drugs, weed, whatever, that there's a part of my brain that loves that, woohoo, that loves it.
Yeah.
I acknowledge that I changed my brain when I exposed it to that stuff. I could think about certain runs that was so profound. The woohoo was so profound that I knew, when I look back now, knowing what I know now, that trapped me. That woohoo, that time really trapped me. And I acknowledge the fact that, yeah, I got a brain that always want to run back to some woohoo. And it will take, I'm too happy. It will take, I got too much money. It will take, I don't have enough money.
Yeah.
It would take, I'm around my friends, I'm around my old friends. It would take, I'm too lonely. It would take, I'm too hungry, I'm too tired. It would take, I'm too sad. It would take, there is a death in the family. It would take, I can't handle what's happening. So my elders are sick and I can't handle it. It would take whatever it can. It will come up with anything to ring that bell to run you back. Now, I'm gonna say this. I had a relapse a few weeks ago on unhealthy behavior called shopping addiction. Don't need nothing. Need to lose weight. Need to go to the gym. If I can get addicted to going to the gym, that might be all right. Okay, I'm telling the truth. If I can get addicted to the gym, and take your little raggedy butt to the gym every day and put in at least an hour or two on the machine to do something. No, don't shine the gym on. Make the gym a run to. I'm telling you, if I could do that, God help me. But I found myself, because I know that Macy's be having all kinds of wonderful sales. And I ran up in there because I was emotional. I was overwrought. I ran up there and I did $87 worth of dirt. It could have been worse.
Yes. Yes.
But But that let me know, like, all right, you ain't cured yet, Heifer. You
Right.
ain't, you is not cured, and it's time to stop running to your addiction
Wow.
when you're trying to soothe your hurt feelings,
Yes.
or when you're trying to soothe or handle or process things you don't understand, or things that are emotionally and mentally and spiritually sometimes overwhelming.
Yes.
That to, just like I've got it down in my head, for me to run to the liquor store with my problems, for me to run to the crack house with my problems, for me to run to the weed spot with my problems, that's death. We know that.
Yes.
But we talk about other unhealthy behaviors and unhealthy attachments.
Yeah.
Like when God told me, when my higher power told me personally that that man that I was messing with was a tool of the enemy of my life, of my soul, excuse me, he ain't had to worry about me no more. I might be the loneliest thing sitting on the west side of Compton. I found myself last night on the corner with a man in a wheelchair because he had asked the lady at McDonald's, "Do you see me as invisible? Can't you see me?" And I said, and I told him, I said, "Sir, you're not invisible. We on the corner talking," and I was singing to him this song by Gladys Knight called "To Be Invisible."
Wow.
I said, "That's my theme song. I feel invisible a lot, but I know I'm not invisible." Then I began to sing to him. He knows my name. And I spoke it, I sang, put his name in the song. But sometimes just to be able to process those emotions without running off to something.
Yeah.
And don't worry that your emotions, the enemy of our lives, will intensify them to hope to get you to act in a fool. And it's the truth. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Just like you said, any of those things can start a relapse justification. And just like someone shared on yesterday, learning how to be comfortable with dealing with these things without needing to be rescued, by those compulsive behaviors. So that's excellent. Thank you so much for sharing that. Also, our last one today, um, depression, anger, loneliness, and fear. And I've heard that trickled throughout our session today, our group session. Does feeling depressed, angry, lonely, or afraid um, makes you want to relapse to those old behaviors? I'm so depressed. What difference does it make if I do it or not? Or when I'm mad enough, I can't control what I do anyway. Or I'm scared. I know how to make this feeling go away. Or, if they think that I'm still doing it, I might as well do it anyway. Have any of those emotions, and I know that many of you have shared how those emotions have pushed you closer to a relapse. Have anyone dealt with anything, maybe even recently, where your feelings, your emotions, those situations that are internal, almost or possibly, just like the caller had shared, I did suffer a relapse, of the shopping, just trying to console the emotional self, and I did. It could have been worse, but it's just a relapse of behavior that I'm trying to destroy that cycle. So what feeling is it that causes you to be justified and using or returning or relapsing into those old unhealthy behaviors? Go ahead and unmute your phone and share.
God bless you. This is Sister Lorena. For me, it's going to be tiredness when my body does not cooperate with my plans. Just one line. Who's going to know? Who's going to know? When I can function, I can get my things done, and then I'll leave it at that. So I have to do a lot of self-talk and remember, we call it playing the whole tape out, right? From the beginning to where it could end and where it has ended before.
Right.
And once again, just aligning it with my foundation in the truth of the word of God, because they both go hand in hand for me, where I have to hold on to what I know has saved me from, destructive behaviors and relapses.
Yes.
So yeah, being tired causes depression, and the depression gives justification for relapse.
You've identified that cycle for you, and we all have one. I love that. I love that. Thank you, Sister Lorena. Anyone else?
Sister Lupe here. Yeah, I probably go through temptation and desire to use, especially right now, going through what I'm going through with my family. And I was more of a downer, a pothead. So because it's been legalized and it's justified and
Justification, yes.
now they have the oils and you don't have to smoke it, you could drink it, and the vape doesn't smell like weed, no one will know. I realize that sometimes when I'm going through so much and I feel like I'm gonna have a breakdown, I want to, just one hit. But I know that because of my patterns, I know one hit, one is not enough, and 1,000 is never enough, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Um,
One is too
I
many,
know.
and 1,000 is never enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
love
I
that.
know that I still, I could say I miss it. I love it. It's not that God took the taste away out of my mouth.
Right.
I had to walk it out. I had to make a decision and not pick up, because God kept reminding me you can't serve two masters.
Yeah.
And to just rely on Him, on His Holy Spirit to give me that high, and not be searching for the earthly high. So what helps me not to use is just looking how far. Yeah, I've been sober almost 2 years now, and yes, and from alcohol and weed, and just being able to see how God quickly positioned me in those months, the year, and some almost 2 years, and how weed kept me. It was a crutch to me. It was a momentarily stress relief, and I have to keep that in mind. Amen.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Wow. And I love how she laid out how the brain connects to the justifications. Old behavior is that she's overcoming is marijuana use, and now, like she said, it's been legalized. They got so many different ways. You can eat it, you can drink it, you can smoke it, you can vape it, you can, so many justifications. No one will ever know, and you should, considering all that you're going through. But she's standing her ground because she understands that one hit is too many, and 1,000 is never enough. I love that saying. And that's a motivation for me that I've carried in my heart for years. When the enemy start whispering, oh, just one won't hurt, the devil is a lie. Yes, it will. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you guys. We've had an awesome time. Before we close out in our final thought, any last comments or questions or suggestions or thoughts? Anyone?
Yes, ma'am. Those of us, we know who we really are. We know what we are. We know what we like, what we have gotten addicted to, what drove our lives out of control, different things out of control, and knowing that I blew rent money on it, knowing that I gave up life opportunities for it. I gave up a chance to get an education for it. That I lost my kids for it. That, yes, like I said, the brain always gonna want that. Woohoo! It is because we changed our brain.
Yes.
But the reality is, can life really handle that? The thing is, we talk now. One of the reasons why I still go to recovery meetings. I don't go as often as maybe I don't have a commitment in a meeting, but I used to have a commitment doing hospital and institution work for Cocaine Anonymous. And I'll come out if I'm available. Somebody call and ask me to speak, I'll come out. But I'm gonna tell you this: that I go to meetings because of the fact I got a brain that sometimes like to forget who it is. I like to forget, baby, you the real deal. Even though you got delivered, you the real deal. And there are things, and your emotions are intense, and situations can get real intense, and you know it's a push from you know who to try to tear you up. So I have to learn how to live, how to face what I'm feeling, to acknowledge that I'm not always going to feel good.
Right.
I'm not going to say I got to wallow and holler in depression, but I'm not always going to feel good because life don't always feel good.
That's right.
That we're going to have to be able to live with the rain, even if we can't dance in the rain, to live with the rain and the thunderstorm.
Yes.
Because they are going to come if we endure, that we're going to get some days of sunshine. And breaking patterns, I know I can't indulge that. Then I'm not, I have to acknowledge that I'm always going to feel good. That's why I got a journal.
Yes.
That's why I have the gift of song. I have to sing something to myself.
Yes.
I can encourage myself in song. I put some music on, everything's all crazy in my work. Go put some music on blast and we're gonna sing and do some things, go for a ride or something.
Yes.
Clear our heads or go shoot some pictures. That's me. I've been out shooting pictures a lot lately. Sunset pictures and stuff, sunset shots, and trying to figure out whose roof I can get on so I can get me some nighttime cityscape shots,
Wow.
But what I want to say is that we have to acknowledge that I know I got a brain that wants that woohoo,
Right.
and I gotta realize that life is not always gonna feel good. Just the fact of facing the issues of the family, facing personal issues, facing parental issues with your parents' issues, facing health issues, it is not going to feel good. If I may leave the group with this, I had a dear friend in the fellowship. She's gone now. She could not quit smoking cigarettes. So this girl was a powerful, powerful speaker. Matter of fact, her mom was a woman of God. Now, but she never got there where she was supposed to be. So she was literally an evangelist for recovery.
Okay.
But the enemy hit her in her body with pancreatic cancer. A lot of acquaintances that I have known over the years, like when it comes down to them catastrophic health events, not that they wanted to, but the pain was so bad, they went back to drugs.
Yeah.
One of my friends, she sent some money for her friend. She said, do me a favor. She said, I'll send it back to you. I'll wire it or PayPal it to you. But you go over there and give this girl X amount of money. I don't care. I know she's going through. And when I walked into this lady's house, she had kind of been kind of resistant to the message of, our other message. You understand? When I walked in that house with that bottle, them bottles of stuff I got, of all I got. When I walked in there, she snatched off her clothes. She said, "Get that oil on me all over my body."
Wow.
And I laid hands on her, and we together we prayed.
Wow.
I did my portion of the job, but she was still on them substances because of the catastrophic pain. And that does happen.
Yes.
Because my body don't, and one of my biggest things, like different pills and stuff that they may give you, that my brain don't know the difference between what the doctor gave me and what I used to get the spot. So I've learned from my elders in recovery that when it comes to these catastrophic illnesses, you have to be very, very careful.
Yes.
And monitor Have somebody in the fellowship help you, and your doctor and your nurses monitor your intake of everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, they made the weed legal. They're making a lot of money off of it, but they're destroying lives. There are people,
Right.
kids that was bright and intelligent, had a future. Now they're laying on the couch somewhere smoking weed and they're bums.
Yeah.
Nothing but bums. And they're not even concerned.
Mm.
That's how
Absolutely.
the stuff changes your brain. Thank you.
No, thank you so much for sharing that. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, in our close, I'm reminded of Paul the Apostle when he begins to say that, you know, it may be expedient, but it's not it may be lawful, but not expedient. You know, it may be it may look to be beneficial, but it's not. So they may legalize drugs, and they were in Colorado, they were trying to legalize cocaine. I don't know if they did or not. I keep saying I'm gonna follow up and see. But what are we gonna do? What are our choices going to be? Despite what the law states, or are we going to go back to these unhealthy behaviors because the law said it's good to do, but it's still ruining lives? And I refuse, and I know you do too. You refuse to let it ruin your life. So today we're going to live free. We're going to stay free, and we're going to practice these tools so that when these catastrophic events come, when pain hits us, when other people's influence or surprise events happen in our life, when our internal triggers of loneliness or anger or discomfort becomes too overwhelming, being tired, whatever it is, we want to be able to stand, because again, it may be lawful to do, but it's not beneficial to me. So today I choose to live free. And I thank God for each and every one of you that joined on today. Thank you so much. We'll be here again on Monday, and I'm looking for us to continue moving in this direction and living free. God bless you guys. Have a blessed weekend and a prosperous day. God bless you all.